That's fine. I was just kind of putting stuff up here, so it doesn't matter what.
Try to speak loud,
Okay.
clear. Sit closer, but your elbow.
Okay.
Good morning, and thank you for staying for our St. Joseph Radio first Saturday speaker series. Dr. GregoryMary Thompson was a former superintendent of schools, and he was attacked by the ACLU and fired for acknowledging God. GregoryMary is a Eucharistic Apostle of Divine Mercy and a Marian helper with the Marian priest and Brothers of the Immaculate Conception at the Divine Mercy National Shrine in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. He's a Marian Catechist associated with the National Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe in LaCrosse, Wisconsin. He organizes Marian Conferences in 3 dioceses each year and does parish missions. He speaks to children, staff, and parents at Catholic schools around the state of Missouri. This morning, he's going to talk to us about igniting a fire with Mary for our loved ones. Dr. Thompson?
God bless you. If you can, maybe make a little movement up to the front. They say I'm a little bit light on how loud I speak. So if you can, come on up a little bit. You okay back there? All right. If you can't hear something, just let me know. And I told a couple of elderly ladies that up at the, when they had me speak up at the Marian Conference here in St. Louis, after my first talk, they came up and said, "Oh, we just loved your talk, but can you speak up a little bit?" And so I said, well, I guess I could use my coach's voice, and started bellowing out a little bit more. And that's usually what happens, hopefully, with our passion, okay? And we're going to talk about that passion today, but I want to clear up some things so you understand what's going on. And do not miss this. If you haven't done it, or if you have, you might want to do it again with some other rosaries and miraculous medals. I have enough for your whole family, okay? So I may have to go out a car to get them, but I have enough of both. I do 3 parishes in Illinois on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so I probably won't have them coming back. So if you want to get them, probably get them now, okay? And what the relics are is something that, first-class relic, when you say first-class relic, that's a piece of the body, like a piece of the bone, a piece of fingernail, something that was part of the body of that saint or person. A second-class relic is like this one of Mary. It's part of her apparel, okay? And the other one is St. Joseph. So we've got Jesus, Mary, and Joseph here. You got the heavy hitters here. Take advantage of it. And all you need to do on the rosaries or the miraculous medal is just touch it, the crucifix or the miraculous medal to the relic. I've seen priests, nuns, and knights and different ones actually pick them up, because that's why I got them, so that people wouldn't have to look behind glass. You can pick those up, you can hold them, touch them. I've seen priests and nuns kiss them and stuff, as they understood what it was. It's all of our saints. The church says that it glorifies Jesus whenever we venerate the saints that have done what he asked them to do. Because before they saw God in the face, they had to be temples of the Holy Trinity. So there are an example for us. And Jesus relics, he's got a little pool, so all his are first class, okay? Everybody else had to have a certain dimension to it. So as you touch the rosaries and miraculous medals are already blessed, but as you touch them to the relic, they become a third-class relic. So it just brings up the level of what you have as a gift or put in. I'm ask it lightly, but I'm going to ask you again. How many of you have at least one friend? Raise your hand. Okay? And your question, where you even have one? All right. Take one, even if you don't have a friend, and give it to somebody else. It's your way of spreading the faith. Just get to where you can say something to people and say, can you learn a little bit about the rosary and say the rosary, because that's one of our most powerful weapons. Most powerful. What's our first most powerful weapon? What's the most powerful prayer in the universe? The Mass. The Mass. I was here for a couple of your Masses, and I'm seeing a priest that's one of a remnant to me. He's strong, he's willing to speak out, and he's got a beautiful situation here with the deacon and the people here. As you offered something last night, that's the first time I've seen it. I've gone to a lot of First Fridays. But what you all did last night, I don't know if you've read it. Have you read this little booklet that you all had last night? All the different things on here is just, if we got a handle on that, and we did, see if you could get Father to do that 3 days a week at least, minimum. If you did that 3 days a week, it'd be like Saint Mother Teresa. She said if everyone would do, every parish would have at least 3 hours of adoration a week, abortion would stop. At least we can do our part. We're saying every one of you have been given a gift by God. And so, we have, Satan's working on Thursdays and Mondays, right? From 1 to 3. He's working 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. He wants you, he wants your children. He wants to destroy families and individuals. That's his modus operandi, and he's smarter than we are. We would all, how many of you, do you know that every one of you would deny Christ, just like Peter? We don't want to say, well, no, I wouldn't deny him. In our flesh, we will deny Christ. But with the Holy Spirit, with Mary's help, we can go into battle. We can be a martyr. We can do whatever's necessary to protect the lives and souls of those we love. How many of you have someone out of the church? Okay? You can write things down if you want to on some of this. Have you ever heard a little Nelly of Holy God? How many of you are cradle Catholics? Raise your hand if you're cradle Catholic. This little girl with a saint affected every one of you cradle Catholics. And you haven't heard about her. She was from a poor part of Ireland. She died when she was 4 years, 5 months, and 8 days old. But she impacted hundreds of millions of cradle Catholics since 1910. So it probably covers all of us, right? What happened was this little girl was in a hospital, with a chapel in the hospital, and the first time they took her down to when they had the Blessed Sacrament exposed, she was 2 years old, and she saw there's Holy God, and they said she never took her eyes off it the whole time, and she wanted to be able to have the Eucharist. Well, of course, they couldn't at that time. And so she would tell someone that was part of the staff, one of the nurses or one of the nuns or someone taking care of her, go down and receive Holy God and come back and kiss me on the lips and then go back to finish Mass. They started telling her everything that was happening. I'm not going to tell you now because I got so many things to cover, but look that little story up. You're going to want to tell your children, your grandchildren and stuff. And I just told a group of 100 children up at Blue Springs when I was doing a Bible camp with the people up there. And I told the little children, I took a different relic every day and talked about one of the saints. And those little children, they're so open still, even if they don't have the best home life sometimes. But I would suggest that if one of them was standing up here with me right now and someone come in the back door to harm him, you would stand in harm's way to protect them, wouldn't you? But what we're doing today and what we do at our conferences is not a rah-rah. You know, it's not a rah-rah things. We try to give them things that they can continue their education by giving them instruments that they can take home and continue their education. Because God can, if you want to know the truth and the fullness of truth, it only exists in the Catholic Church, in the deposit of faith. It's the only place that exists in fullness. You know, I had a couple of the ones that I brought into the church was a Baptist pastor and a Methodist pastor. You know, once they heard the truth, you cannot be set free until you know the truth. And even our people in the pews don't know the fullness of truth many times. Cardinal Burke told me that we've had such poor catechesis for the last 50, 60 years. And I have to believe, as I've watched it, people had good hearts, it's just that the catechesis wasn't coming to give you the strength. Because, you know, a lot of people say the truth will set you free, but that's not scriptural. The scripture says knowing the truth will set you free. The truth is knowable, and so if there's anything you question or anything, look it up. Search for it. And if your heart is true to the good Lord and saying, Lord, show me the truth, He will not leave anybody an orphan. He'll bring it to you. Maybe a child, maybe a pastor, maybe a friend, a spouse, but He's going to bring it. What's our job? Is He going to force you to come to Him? He won't. He gives you free will. But once we start opening our eyes, and Mary is so good at this, helping take the scales off our eyes, the last scales. We might, you know, I have 12 family members, 12 of those siblings. Half of them sit in the church and half not. You know. And most everybody has someone out of the church. And how many in here would say that you have someone that's not in the church right now? I know I have. You know, and that's most of us. If it gets too extended or whatever, some of our family's not there, some of our friends aren't there, etc. Well, one thing that really always impacted me is when in the 6th chapter of John, where it says, unless you eat my flesh and drink my blood, you have no life in you. Is everybody able to have that? Most people don't have it though, right? You know, we're fortunate that we have clergy that goes back to the Jesus, that can consecrate like it was done this morning. All right, guys, next time I come, I want to have at least 2 days of this, what you did on First Friday. Awesome. It was awesome to have that all put together. And thank you, Deacon, for doing that. All right. I'm going to give you, because I got so many things that I talk, and they only gave me, like I say, 3 hours. So I'm going to have to shorten it a little bit because we have a memorial here at, I think, 10 o'clock maybe, And I want to make sure you got some weapons to take home with you so you can continue. This is written in the form of Imitation of Christ. Have any of you read that? In the Imitation of Christ, this is kind of the same genre. This was used by St. Maximilian Kolbe. He wasn't the writer of it, but he said it fit right in with his Militia Immaculata for Our Lady. And this, if you want to perfect your love for your people, you want to perfect your love for Jesus, you want to perfect your love for his mother. This is written in such a way, it's half of it is Mary talking about her son, the other half is her son talking about her. It's in every language, including Zulu. Take this and perfect your love. You're never going to completely get it if we don't have Mary. Bishop Fulton Sheen put it this way: no Mary, N-O Mary, no Jesus. And then he followed that up with no Mary, K-N-O-W Mary, K-N-O-W Jesus. Guys, Mary, I've never seen anyone, until they knew Mary, explode. I know when they made me, after my first Marian Conference years ago, the priest and had got with the bishop, and the next month they asked me if, in January, would I form a Marian association. So I said, okay, if you'll do this, get me 8 to 10 people that have been consecrated to Our Lady through one of the consecrations of St. Louis de Montfort, Maximilian Kolbe, or this one, I think, for our culture today, because it's 15 minutes a day for 33 days. Anybody got 15 minutes a day? You know how many minutes in a day? 1,440 minutes. Give 15 minutes for a rosary every day. That's what Mary said to do every day. If you want peace in your family, if you want peace in the world, say rosary, Mary said. Now, it's not magic. It's not just something that some of us have done. I used to be in the past a pew setter. I knew it was a precept of the church. You go to Mass every week. But it was like, okay, I did that. Got it checked off. See you next week. Wasn't engaged. And so I was very fortunate, and why, I don't know. I can't tell you the reason why. Because I had a foot in the world big time. I was a superintendent of schools. I could have coasted out of life doing that. And through circumstance, good Lord, I started searching for the truth in January of '03. And by the time October got here, and why, I'm thinking I'm going to run for a legislative seat. And my school board says, oh, please don't, we don't want to lose you. And I said, well, I'm a workaholic, so I'm going to, I can do both, I think. So anyway, but here a day or two later, I had what's called a locution. Have any of you heard of a locution? It's where either Mary or Jesus communicate with you. I didn't deserve it, guarantee you, because first thing the good Lord did was show me my soul. I rolled out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning bawling because I just sobbing so hard. Came from a family of men don't cry, and I'm just shaken because I could see myself hammering the nail in Christ's hand and saying, crucify him. And I could see the apostles asleep. And the good Lord said, Gregory, step out of the boat and trust me. And then he said, It's not the atheists and pagans that are causing the moral decay in this world. It's the Christians. They're asleep. And then he said, just knocked my socks off. He said, Gregory, with all I've given you, warn my children. And I said, oh, Lord, how about Father or Deacon or Lou Cortez or Donald? Someone, Lord, you know me. And but after about 30 seconds, I said, okay, Lord, I'll do it, but I don't know what to do. And he said, just acknowledge me and trust me, and I'll guide your steps. I said, I'm yours till I die. And then about 30 seconds after that, he had me take a vow of poverty. But let me know why. As I was saying yes to him, he let me see that it's going to change everything in your life. I was proud, I was powerful, well paid, and I wasn't. The day before, if you'd have told me I was going to do it, I said it's not happening. But the good Lord has a persuasive way, and so I said, okay, Lord, I'll do it. And so he had me take a vow of poverty, and later a vow of chastity. There was reasons for both. And he said, you've always tried to make things happen yourself. Now you're going to do things for souls for eternity. And know that that comes from me, talking about himself, through a willing vessel and back to me. No one can boast on that. So anyway, so good Lord, the next year, after that locution, the ACLU was coming after me, and they wanted me not to acknowledge God at any time or any place. And I said, I'm not going to comply with that. And so they fired me. I have 3 years left on my contract. I'm saying, how's this going to work if I have to contract, you know? Well, Mary showed me. On her birthday, I was fired. And it was like she said, okay, go. And if we listen to what Mary, what did she say at Cana? Can anybody know? And you don't use your outside voice in here so I can hear you. What did she say at Cana? Do whatever he tells you. That's so key. Do whatever he tells you. Mary never points to herself. She always points to her son. And if we know her and learn what she's about and try to give our fiat like she did, give her fiat. One of the things that will help you and strengthen you, when he got me 10 to form that committee, he got me 10 people that were consecrated. If you have not consecrated, okay, something that even St. John Paul II, when his motto was totus tuus, totally yours. And when he did his consecration, he said it was life-changing for him. Now here's a pope saying that that's life-changing for him, okay? So is it something you're willing to take a chance on? If you have not consecrated, I don't care how old you are, you may breathe for just another day or another year, but there's still things you can do to uplift each other, to uplift your neighbors, to uplift your church. Stand beside your priest. Go to battle with him for souls. Bring this. What I was seeing here is these pews should be filled with the priests you have and the deacon, because guys, I go to a lot of places, see a lot of things, and not every priest, just like people, we're all people, is the same, you know. And so when you have a strong priest, you know, that's willing to speak out and do things that others aren't willing to do, stand with him. Let him feel your strength with him. Okay, it helps him grow and it'll help you grow. Okay, now I have enough back here for who's in here. Okay, make sure you take one of these. If you have not consecrated, I don't want you to consecrate because Sally did it or Bob did it. I want you to consecrate only at that time. 15 minutes a day. You got 15 minutes a day for 33 days? And then consecrate if you're convicted by the Holy Spirit. Not because it's magic or anything. Nothing that we do in the Catholic Church is magic. It happens because of the disposition of our piety and our holiness, what we're trying to do. And you can fool me, and I can fool you. But we can't fool God, can we? He sees your heart. And if you want to know the truth, if you want to come closer to him, Mary will be that conduit. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask how many people are praying the rosary every day, but you listen to a lot of people and do what they say. Mary said, say the rosary daily. If you're not doing that, I talked to a young man at the table before we came in here. He said he does it every day to start his day. I don't care if you get up 30 minutes early, get the rosary said every day. It will keep getting you closer and closer to him. So these two books are back there. I've got one for everybody. And if I run out of what's brought in here right now, I'll go out to my car and get it for you, okay? Those are gifts. I'm going to read what was on one of the things that was put on the back of my first book, okay? This is just a gift too, okay, if you want one. There's a quote here from Marcus Tutilius Cicero, 42 BC. A nation can survive its fools and even the ambitious, but it cannot survive treason from within. This also has a quote on here. Know this, Satan and his dupes on earth do not want you to read and know what is in this book. We are at war. The prize is the souls of our children. This country, the reason it was a beacon on a hill for so long was because we were totally a Christian nation. That doesn't exist now, but we were totally a Christian nation. And I'm going to lay it on the Catholics just like St. Pius V and St. Pius X said, and they said it very similar. The reason we're in such decay in the world is because of lukewarm, easygoing Catholics. If you haven't entered the battle yet, get into battle, because you might be the reason that your family members that are away from the church, that they get to heaven. I know that has to be the number one thing, that we get up when we breathe every day. I might die today. You know, some of the saints put a skeleton skull on their desks to remind them they may not be here the next day. That's true for every one of us. We're not promised it, okay? So get into battle. I'm going to use a quote from, how many of you saw Patriot, the movie Patriot with Mel Gibson? In that movie, Mel Gibson decides not to get involved, which is your decision now, yes or no, to get involved. And when he doesn't get involved, he sees one of his sons shot in front of him and another son that they're going off to hang. So he takes his two youngest sons and goes out and has to be very ruthless to get his son back. And as he's tucking the two younger boys in bed, the little one's kind of drawing away from him because of what he saw happen. And so he's in anguish. He's sitting on the steps of his sister-in-law's house as his sister-in-law walks in. And she sees his anguish, and she says, "You have nothing for which you should be ashamed." Never forgot these words, because I think every parent and grandparent should hear them. When she said that, he said, "I'm ashamed because I've done nothing. I know I lived that for many years. You know, if you want to do anything for me, just pray that I am able to do this till I die, to bring souls to him through our different venues." So anyway, all these are gifts, guys. If anybody's the one to alert me, you're going to have to make sure I'm looking at you, okay? Please. All right. We have to get in. Do you know that the Catholics put the Bible together? The Bible was put together by a doctor of the church back in 367, and then approved by another doctor of the church at the Council of Rome by Pope. By Pope Damasus, and that other doctor of the church was St. Jerome. And then also approving it in the Council of Hippo and the Council of Carthage in 393 and 397, two more doctors of the church, St. Ambrose and Saint Augustine. You might remember some of those names. There's only 36 doctors of the church. My favorite is St. Thomas Aquinas, who was taught in every college and university at one time, because the Catholic Church was the one who got the education going, and the hospitals and everything. That was because of the Catholic Church. And we've had more missionaries that have martyred and helped people around the world than anyone in the world. But we've had a kind of a decay, and so we need a lot of prayer. You need to, if you're not a prayer warrior now, you need to become one. You know, I would work on trying to do this, what you did on First Friday, do it a couple more mornings a week, you know, your holy hour, on everything that you did during that holy hour with the deacon after Mass. That was awesome. And that's something you could do, something you could ask to do and lead it, you know. You could lead a prayer group. You could lead, one of you could say, okay, I'll take everybody that hasn't been consecrated and I'll work with them and lead it so that you become consecrated. If there's something you're uncomfortable with, if you love someone, how many think you can pick something like this up? Raise your hand if you think you're strong enough to pick that up. Some of you not strong enough? Can you pick this up and hand it to a friend and say, can you help me out? Can you read this and tell me what you think? Help me with this. Guys, there's a lot of things we can do to get, and most people, when you say, can you help me? They want to help. And so get them, hand them something. You know, I know a young man that is a warrior for the church now that was mowing my fourth oldest daughter's lawn, and I knew the family, and the family was Catholic, but he had drifted into the Baptist church. And I pulled up to see my daughter, and she wasn't there, so I'm backing out of the driveway, and he turns off his mower, and he runs over to me and comes up to my window, and he said, it's real, isn't it? I said, it's real. And he said, first he said, there's a lot of people in this town think you're nuts. I said, well, thank you. That's a compliment. You know, they used to think Jesus was nuts. And he said, can I talk to you? I said, I'm busy right now. I said, I have a book and a video. You watch this video, read this book, and then call me and we'll find a time we can sit down together. Ended up, I started going over there 2 or 3 days a week. His whole family came back into the church, and the one thing he lacked, that he wasn't quite there, he's doing a great job. He's insatiable on the things, reading about the saints and everything, the precepts of the church and what's expected. But he didn't have Mary yet. I remember walking in to his house that night. They were sitting in the room right off the living room on the floor with their children. And I said, Matt, you brought your family a long way. But without Mary, you will never go as far with them as you can. He got so involved, did the consecration, and now he has a son that's a monk out in Montana, and he has a daughter that's joining the Sisters of Charity, Mother Teresa's group. So she's joining the Sisters of Charity. And just because they turned their life around, came back to the church, got Mary involved in their life, beautiful things can happen. There's no accidents. You know, there's some information about just before he died that George Washington became a Catholic. And, you know, George Washington said, of all the dispositions which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports. In vain would that man claim the tribute of patriotism who should labor to subvert these pillars of human happiness. We were a Christian nation, guys. Patrick Henry, if you've never read that speech, read Patrick Henry's speech. Very gifted and a warrior for God, family, and country. And I'm telling you that, I hope you don't just let that go off. It'll take you only 5 or 10 minutes to read that speech. But he starts out, Mr. President, no man thinks more highly than I do of the patriotism and abilities of the very worthy gentlemen that have just addressed the House. But oftentimes different men have a different highlight of what they believe with what's been said. And for my own part, I consider it's nothing less than a question of freedom or slavery. And in proportion to the magnitude of the subject ought to be the freedom of the debate. It is only in this way that we can fulfill our obligations to God and country. If I should keep back my opinions at such a time for fear of giving offense, I should consider myself as guilty of treason to my country and of an act of disloyalty to the majesty of heaven, whom I revere above all earthly kings. Our founding fathers would not have allowed some of the stuff that we have going on today. They arrested somebody for just having a half-nude picture above a bar. They arrested him and charged him like $500, put him in jail for 30 days just for that. Now we have children kidnapped and put into that pornography industry, which is bigger than all the professional sports combined. And we send it out to the world. Instead of becoming a light to the world, we've done some things that are definitely darkness. And a holy God's not going to bless it. Now, he can bless individuals, but guys, how many of you have heard 2 Chronicles 7:14? If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves, I'm going to stop there 1 second. One of the doctors of the church was asking what was Mary's greatest virtue. He said, humility, humility, humility. Guys, it's so important that that be what we start with, that we put away all pride. That's what Mary did. And she totally gave herself totally with trust to the good Lord. It can't be words. Children hear words all the time. They've got to see by our example and how we act and what we say. You want to help turn the country around? It's too big for individuals, but not for his remnant that exists. And some of you are the remnant that are sitting in the pews right now, that are coming to this church. And I believe that that remnant is the reason that God has mitigated full judgment on, because countries don't go to heaven or hell. People do. Countries are judged in the here and now, and they lose out because of the sinfulness of the people. We have a decay in this country. If we continue to sit and do nothing, there may be a time when, as much as we do to mitigate his judgment, because we deserve it, we've slaughtered 62 million babies. We have so many things that we've allowed on our watch. Now it's time to take it back with the good Lord and his mother. Mary will take you places you cannot go on your own. In your flesh, you can't get there. But with the Holy Spirit working through Our Lady and the graces she's allowed to give to us, if we are willing, all we have to do is say yes. Mary will take you places you will never go on your own while you're alive without her. She'll bring you to her Son more than you've ever had in your life. You know, take a chance. If you haven't consecrated, make that consecration out of love for the good Lord, because it glorifies him, out of love for Mary. She's our mama. She's your mama. So many people are part of the reason we do the first Saturday is what? To fight against the blasphemies to Our Lady. There's a lot of people that hate Our Lady, talk ugly about her. We've got to be willing to stand in harm's way. We've got to be willing to know our faith so well. I couldn't have defended my faith until the good Lord got a hold of me. And then I was insatiable. I had to read everything about every saint, everything's going on. That's why I changed my name to GregoryMary, because I saw where some of the saints did that. And I'm not a saint, but I aspire to be one someday. And do everything you can, because she's going to take you. Okay? I was just given a heads up that I got to wrap up, okay? Hopefully I can come back someday. There's so much to talk about. on different elements of our faith that will help you in your walk. So if you do one thing, with the different resources I'm giving you, you don't owe me a thing. I would sure pray for Lou and what she does. It's very, very beautiful what she does to try to bring people closer to the good Lord, and pray for me and our ministry, what we do. It's called the Marian Association. We do parish missions. We do Marian Conferences. We just finished our 23rd Marian Conference. And did you have a national team with the Cardinals here one time? Baseball team? Were they one time national champs or something? Guys, we just had national champs at our last Marian Conference. And we hit a home run for the good Lord and his mama. I want to thank you for letting me come here today, and hopefully we can have some time in the future together. And remember this, Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. If you think that you can't learn more, that the good Lord cannot teach you anything else, I think we're sadly mistaken. A holy God, all the way to death, can keep teaching you and bringing you closer to him so that you can be part of not only glorifying him and honoring his mother, but also defending his bride, the Catholic Church. And you're part of that. So ask him, Lord, I don't know what my gifts are, but help me find them and help me do all I can to make my parish stronger. If you haven't touched the relics yet, they're in the back. Touch them with I brought you rosaries and miraculous medals for your whole family. So if you can, touch the relics and have a beautiful gift for child, family, friend, someone. And thank you for having me. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson, for your talk, and may God bless you and your Marian Association. Don't forget about the resources that are in back of church, and we'll see you next month for our next speaker. Thank you.
Okay, well, can you just do it by rote? And then whatever verse I have the resurrection. It says the Lord. Okay. So you're from Sacred Heart? I am. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. She had me down for acolyte, for being a deacon and canton, so it was pretty hard to do both. How are you? Good to see you. So I said, okay, I'll sing, and they can do their own deal with it.
Okay, and you're just gonna lead from back here, right?
Is that okay with you?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's great.
Yeah, we got a weird sanctuary. It's kind of crowded even on Sundays. When cantor does the Guadalupe there, they have to come back here then to do the last proclamation because they've got the,
Oh, sure.
the deacon and everything coming. So there's just not room up there for him to
Yep,
stay,
yep.
for them to stay up there. So.
Okay, yeah, no, this is great. So I'll just, yeah, you'll just, for the hallelujah, you'll intone it, and then I can sing
Yeah,
it.
I'll just do this.
Either way, but
I'll
if
give
wanna
you an
join, I'll
intro
sing it.
here. Your pastor and I go back a long way. I think it was his new parish, it might have been his first parish at St. Lucy's back
Oh, yeah.
in the
Oh, my God.
early 80s.
That's right, I remember that.
I was the organist there when we came on the organ, Father Burmester.
Did you live in that area?
No, I was up here, but
Oh,
I had just had a baby, and so I couldn't, I went to St. Lucy's because there was other musicians up here, and I quit my full-time
Yeah.
job, and they were gonna give me a salary just to do everything, so that was the first thing I had like that. And then when my kids got to be school age, I had to come back here because I couldn't juggle that and
It's
this
just hard,
parish
isn't it?
too,
It's really
when they were
hard,
going to school up here. But anyway, he was, kind of a freshly ordained, and he got thrown in with Father Burmester right off the bat. Oh my God, we always used to say
He and
the
I
Holy
went to
Spirit
seminary
met his
together back
match.
We were in the seminary together back in 2016 and 17, so I didn't go on, I didn't finish, but yeah, he was a couple years behind me.
Yeah, so anyway.
That's
before
good.
Then he was over at Holy Cross for a while.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
kept up with him.
Yeah,
over
he
there.
loved that. He loved it.
My grandkids are now at school at Sacred Heart, and there he is again. We just follow each other
So your
around.
grandkids are at Sacred Heart?
Yes.
I think, good,
Yeah,
okay.
They really like it.
Yeah, it's a good school, it's a great school. I'll use this book here if that's okay with you.
Yes, that's fine.
That way we have, we go to 552 is the first one.
I didn't write down our numbers, I don't, yeah.
That's okay.
If I did, I didn't
Five,
read them.
two.
No, 382 is the summons, yeah. I did write it down. Now, Pastor, I guess, and we'll announce them. So
What's that?
We'll announce them, I guess.
Yeah,
so
you want me
that
to
they'll
announce them?
have- Yeah.
I'm assuming if there is, I haven't seen if there's any kind of a program or anything of that nature, but,
Now, Monsignor here he's really weird about music. So like when he gets to the chair, he doesn't want a second verse started.
Okay,
It's just
okay.
like, cut it off.
That's good to
So
know.
you might
Okay.
only get one verse
Yeah,
of the
that's
opening
fine.
hymn. That's how we do it on Sundays.
Sure.
It's like a race. I'm starting to think I'm going to pay the servers $5 if we
Yeah,
walk
that's
slow,
right.
so we can get more
Get 'em
than
in there.
one verse in. And it's the same
Well,
thing with the closing.
you know,
Back to about every passage has different weird things.
They're really different.
I've
They
had
are
to
really
be
different, there's no
retrained
question.
5 times now. I've gone through 5 pastors up here, so.
Well, let's see. How about this one right here? Everyone who does justice will live in the presence of God.
That's fine.
Is that fine? Just, just pick one out. What the heck?
Just put some words with it.
Will live in the presence of God.
Will
Live in the presence of the Lord. One who does justice will live in the presence of the Lord.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll just chord it, and then you
Or
can
if
put
you
your
don't, or
ups
if
and
you don't want
downs.
to, or if you don't want to chord, if you want to do the hallelujah and then you want to stop, I'll just sing it either way. So you.
No,
your
it needs
choice.
an acclamation.
That's great.
That's what they're used to
Okay.
here.
That's good.
And I think, see, they're having a luncheon. I think
Sure.
this will be the first
Apparently, I
funeral
didn't,
luncheon that they've had since COVID.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
I-
We
I-
started our donuts social Sundays
Okay,
back
good.
again.
You're back with that, so that's
Yeah.
good.
But,
That's good.
I don't think I don't, but we haven't had a lot of funerals, fortunately.
Yeah,
But
we've
this
had
is
a
the
ton.
first.
We have had a ton
Well,
of
you're
Sacred
bigger
Heart.
parish, but we're
Yeah.
really old
Yeah.
here. We're
Yeah.
very elderly
Yeah.
parish, so
Yeah.
a lot of people probably moved away.
Moving out.
Or, yeah, or they go out with the kids.
That's
or,
an issue.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab my helmet.
Okay.
bigger issue with me, it's just overwhelming sometimes.
Verses on the cry of the poor. I guess this is responsorial.
What's that?
The cry of the poor for the responsorial.
Uh-huh.
That you just intone it. And then we'll do it twice at the
Yeah.
beginning. And then how many verses? 3 maybe?
Let's put that one up here. Lord, here's the cry of the poor. Cry of the poor, huh? So all I have to do is find it.
It's, let's see. I didn't write the number down for it. Because we changed that.
The numbers. Here we go. Let's see here.
This book has numbers, you just couldn't find.
Yeah, I just didn't see them in there. Okay.
Yeah, they're hard, they put them in an inconvenient spot.
The cry of the poor is 612.